Willie, for assisting us with the opening exercise. I want to extend a special welcome to everyone here this evening to another meeting of the club. And this evening is one of those evenings that we'll have a panel discussion, a very light evening, where we have our track and field specialists and enthusiasts online to share their views on the recently concluded event that was held in the US. And I want to extend a special welcome to Mrs. Olive McNaughton and Dr. Clyde Morrison for also being here. To do the official welcome though of clubs and visitors, I'm going to ask President Designate Junior to take charge of this.
I don't believe he's on the call, President.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll try to, okay. Are there any clubs visiting from overseas? Let me start with our overseas visitors. Any clubs visiting from Division 25? And move to Division 24. Division 23 West.
Good evening, President Paul.
Good evening.
This is DP Audrey from the Kiwanis Club of the Sunshine City, Portmore. I bring you greetings on behalf of my president and the members of the club. So far, there are 3 of us, and we are expecting others, anticipating a great meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, DP Audrey, and welcome to your delegation.
Thank you.
Any other clubs on Division 23 Central? Sorry, 23 West? And move to 23 East.
Good evening, President Paul and team. This is President Afis here from Kiwanis Club of Downtown Kingston. Tonight we have DLGE Kemet as well as DS Philip. Others are coming. We're looking forward to a great meeting tonight.
Thank you very much, President Afis. Are there any other clubs from Division 23 East?
Oh.
Good evening.
Good evening, President Paul.
Good evening.
Kiwanis and guests, it's great to be on. I bring you greetings from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. President is currently in a committee meeting, so I'm sure she will join later with others. But at the moment, I know for a fact on your panel, you have Olive McNaughton, Director Designate. There's also DP Herman Metcalf. I'm not sure anyone else is on, but I know others will be joining soon. I'm DLG Gerthlin. I know you're going to have a fun and loads of information on your meeting. So thank you very much for having us.
Yes, thank you very much, DLG Gertlin, for that, for bringing us greetings and welcome to your delegation from New Kingston.
Thank you, President.
Can I move to Division 23 Central? Are there any clubs from Division 23 Central, our own division?
Hi, good evening, President Paul. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Great. I am PED Eurydice from the Kiwanis Club of 23 Central, Surrey Online. And with me are 2 other members. So we have a delegation of 3 members at this time. I know more are coming, but in the interim, we're looking forward to a great, exciting, interesting, informative meeting. So thank you for inviting us and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, PED Eurydice. Are there any other clubs from 23 Central with us this evening? Well, I see DLG Pam, welcome, and also our LGDU, welcome.
Thanks, President Paul.
Good evening, President Paul.
Good evening,
Good
dear.
evening, fellow Kiwanians. I think there are 3 of us here now from the Kiwanis Club of Constant Springs. So happy to join you for what is going to be an exciting meeting, and I'm sure very informative. Unfortunately, I will not be able to stay for the entire meeting, but I certainly will enjoy to the point where I have to leave. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much, DLG, Pam. Are there any other clubs from 23 Central? If not, I'll move to our SLPs.
President Paul.
Yes.
You have already recognized me, but let me just indicate that there is a delegation from the Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew. There are 7 or 8 of us online. We're happy to be here. We look forward to a scintillating track and field discussion.
Thank you very much, and welcome to your delegation, LGDU from NSA. I see that we have our SLPs online with us this evening. Do you wish to identify your club and members in a delegation?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. President Kino here from the Michael University College's CKI. With me this evening are 2 other members, and we expect others to join momentarily. And we're looking forward to an engaging discussion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Kino Lee. Are there any other SLPs?
Good evening, everyone. President Wendy here from the UEMONA Circle K. We are currently at 4 in delegation, and we're looking forward to a great session. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here, President Wendy, and welcome to your delegation from US Circle K. If there are no other SLPs, I want to ask that guests on the platform, if you could identify yourself. I see Dr. Garfield Unter also with us this evening. Welcome, Dr. Unter. Are there any other guests with us at this time?
President Paul, I believe there are a few prospects from Kiwanis Club of Greater Portmore in the room. I don't know if they want to introduce themselves.
Certainly, please go ahead, prospects.
If you sign.
Yes, well, if not, I want to extend a special welcome to everyone here with us this evening. We are 65 in number so far, and I trust that others will join momentarily.
President, I see F.A. Aldit Douglas from Dunoon, and she is with us.
Welcome, F.A. Aldit. Thank you very much for being here, as usual, giving us your support. We appreciate that. Well, let me move on with the agenda. Apologies for absence. Secretary DLG Willie, do we have any at this time?
Yes, I have recorded 2. We have apologies for absence from distinguished President Richard Reese and distinguished President Chris Robinson. Director BP Chris.
Thank you very much. And I also got an apology for lateness from our President-elect Designate Newton, who will be with us later on in our program. We'll move on to the recognition of birthdays and anniversaries at this time. And before I go on,
can I do it for you?
Yes, go ahead. Yes,
there are some corrections.
Yes.
Okay, for birthdays. On May the 24th, distinguished President Lloyd Barnett celebrated his birthday. And on the 30th of May, honorary member past Director Michael Fong celebrated his birthday. And so far as anniversaries, Addison, the wife of Kiwanis and George Beckford, celebrates her birthday on the 4th. And Marcia, wife of distinguished President Earl Spencer, celebrates her birthday on the 5th of June. and both past Chairman Carrington Grant and his dear wife Elsie celebrate their wedding anniversary on the 5th of June. That is the sum total, birthdays, anniversaries. President Paul, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Secretary DLG Willie. And at this time we'll have our Kiwanis education. And I'm going to call on LGED Desmond.
Thank you. Thank you, President Paul. Good evening, everyone. My topic, the topic is serving the children of the world with a focus on the Kiwanis Club of Kingston oratorical competition. That's our regular public speaking competition. Through this competition, which is held among our 9 sponsored builders clubs, we have helped to develop our children by building self-confidence and improving their oratory skills. Past and present students have commented that they were terrified to speak in front of their fellow students or in the wider public. But having been exposed to this competition, they have grown with confidence and are more respected and accepted by their peers as they have become more effective and influential in conveying their ideas. Some past students, they really usually refer to the competition, which has been around for over 26 years, and how it has helped to change their formative years in primary and prep schools. I must mention, President, that the oratorical competition is currently in progress. We have done the preliminary rounds. We had 3 matches in the preliminary round, and we have the semifinals, 2 semifinals to start on Friday. And also during the course of next week, we'll have the other with the final in mid-June. So we have first prize. The first to third will get cash awards and plaques, and all participants will receive certificates of appreciation. Certainly, we'll also recognize the coaches and the judges. That's it for Kiwanis education today, President. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, LGED Desmond. And of course, this program, the oratorical competition, which you just mentioned, is a great program. And I know it's one of Kiwanis Club of Kingston's main SLP project. I know you're very good in taking care of that and being a good chairman. And I want to thank you very much for leading that program once again, LGED Desmond.
Thank you, President Paul.
Well, without further ado, I'm going to move on with our program. And since we are all here for the panel discussion, I'm going to call on DP Stewart to lead us in that segment.
Thank you, President Paul. Just checking, you're hearing me okay?
Yes, we are hearing it clearly.
Right. Okay, I just want to make sure that Dr. Clyde Morrison is on, because I was looking for his name.
Yes, he's on, I see him.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, President Paul and fellow Kiwanians and guests. This evening, we look forward to, hold on, are you getting another feedback? Oh, not. Okay. Yes, this evening we're looking forward to having a lively discussion on track and field, and I've titled it Track and Field Talking Track and Field 2022, because we did something like this last year, but this year is a new season and a new year. We have with us Olive McNaughton, and most of you who, in fact, she was even on radio this evening. I must say that she attended. We're fortunate to have someone who actually was at the Prefontaine Classic over the weekend. And as a result of that, she is stranded. She has not been able to get a flight back to Kingston. So she's still in Florida. Well, I shouldn't say still in Florida because that's not where the Prefontaine Classic was, but she is in Florida and waiting to get a flight back home. But we're glad that through technology, we can still, you know, have our discussion. So it's not a problem. And with us also, she's a, you know, she's the kind of person who, if you go to track meets, you know, I don't mean just the big ones, I mean the little ones, you will see her. And there's something I didn't want to say for sure because I'm not 100% sure. But I know she's at Queen's School, the Queens. The Queens, yes. You know, that's her alma mater. And Queens has the distinction of being the last school in Kingston in the corporate area to have won Girls Champs. And that was way back in 1978. Since then, it's been Vere, Homewood, now Edwin Allen, and you know, all of those other schools. Manchester probably for a couple of years. So, but I didn't want to suggest that she was on that team. You know, I don't know if she, maybe she can tell us.
Yes, I was on the team. I was actually the captain of the team in 1978.
Okay, great. And then we must move now. The other person who we have online is Dr. Clyde Morrison. And he has been, you know, but I don't want to, there's a little secret I don't want to let out because it might expose more than I should. But other than to say that Clyde has been, you know, well, he's a sports fan, not just a track and field fan. And as a doctor, he has a special interest in sports medicine. And he has been the manager for, well, not the manager, but the team doctor for various sporting teams. And at one time was also the team doctor for Calabar's track team. So we have two persons highly qualified, and I'm just gonna be doing my bit in terms of guiding the discussion. Now, I did say to Olive that I wanted to start with her, and it's not because it's just ladies first, not just because of that, but because we have the advantage of having her here as the only person who was at the meet over the weekend.
From
so
Jamaica, from a media.
Yes, sorry, yes. And also as a media representative. So I want to ask her to give us a little of the insights, but not just the stuff that we already know that you know, I wanted to tell us about some of the things that we wouldn't know. For example, I heard a little bit of an interview you had with Elaine, and you know, I want you to just give us some of those insights that we would not have heard. So I'm gonna start with you, Olive. It's over to you.
Okay, good evening, Kiwanians. Good evening, guests. Thank you, Stewart, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure for me to talk about track and field. I was at the Prefontaine Classic 2022. I was also there in 2021 when Elaine Thompson ran the second fastest time ever of 10:54 seconds. There was a lot of expectations for that 100 meters at the Prefontaine Classics this year. But this is May, as you all know. When she ran that 10:54, that was after the Olympics, and that was more July, August, later in the season. But it was the conditions were just extremely different. In 2022, it was expected that it would have been rain and cool. Fortunately, with a little prayers, we prayed that the sun would come out for our Jamaicans, because I sat down with a few of our Jamaicans at the evening before, after the press conference, and just, you know, had one-on-one with these athletes out there representing Jamaica and representing their country. And you hear the other side of it. And so they were looking forward to the meet, but they certainly wasn't looking forward to the conditions, the environment that was expected on Saturday. As one athlete said yesterday when she was doing the warm-up, it was colder in Birmingham, England, than it was at the Prefontaine on the evening. So it was cool. As you know, Jamaicans are sprinters, and it is not the best or ideal condition to run in cold temperatures to run fast. So, of course, as I tweeted before, don't expect fast times last Saturday, but just before the 100 meters started, the sun came out. It was just so fantastic when you just saw the rays of sunshine coming out. But Jahil Hyde started it off, and Mowat started it off for the Jamaican, representing us in the 400 meters hurdles. It was for us, but at the time it was raining and it was cool. So the expectations was that they would want to do well, but it would have been difficult in those conditions. I spoke to them after. They were very disappointed with the time because, as you all know, the 400 meter hurdles has become, if you're not running 47 seconds, you're really not running. You possibly can't reach the finals of the 400 meter hurdles. Warholm, Santos, McMasters, Benjamin have all taken that 400 meter hurdles to another level. And you know, the standard have in both the male and female hurdles is that these guys are running the flat 400 with no barriers, no 10 barriers in between, because they're running so fast and their hurdling style is so excellent. So the Jamaicans came 7th and 8th in that. Spoke to both of them after, very disappointed in the times, but they have both qualified for the World Athletics Championships. I don't know, you know that for you to go to the Athletics Championships, for each event, you have to have a standard performance and standard time or distance or height or throw that you have to attain to get to the World Championships. Of course, in the shorter sprints, Jamaica, on the most, especially the women, have several women qualifying for the next event that came up, which is the 100 meters. As you all know, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price is 4 times world champion. She's going after an unprecedented 5th title at 35. But she's going against the double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herro. And if you look at the all-time list, Shelly-Ann is the #1 with a 10:67 that she ran in Kenya. Elaine on Saturday ran 10:79, which was in the conditions, showing that both ladies are in excellent condition. I know there's a lot of, and then Sharika Jackson coming in 3rd with our first sub-11, 10:92 seconds. Great performances by our ladies. And Brianna Williams was in the race. Her coach said after that she was a little loaded, but I spoke to Brianna, she did 11:20, but I expect that for the championships, that time will have to come because that 100 meters is going to be hot at trials. Because, or not only trials, but first of all, as you know, Shelly-Ann, as the defending champion, has a bly. And therefore, Jamaica has a possibility of having 4 ladies in the finals of the 100 meters at the World Championship in Oregon in 50 days' time. So, I think a lot of expectations. I mean, some Jamaicans would probably say they're looking for, we are very greedy. We'd want 1, 2, 3, 4. But, I personally think that world record, which as Shelly-Ann and Elaine said, initially they thought that world record, it was impossible. I spoke to Shelly-Ann in 2015 after the World Championships. They, at that time, running 10:7 would never think about the world record. She said to me on Saturday, now that she has run 10:6, she has reset her goals. That she's now going after the possibility of a 5th world title and possibly achieving that world record. Running that time of 10:54 made them, the 2 ladies believe, also Sharika, having run at Hayward Field, that it is possible for Jamaica to get that once believed impossible 100-meter world record. So we are looking forward to that event. I have my flag and everything ready. And then the 200 meters. Shelly-Ann ran the 200 meters on Saturday, and she ran 22:41, looking so easy, comfortable. And this is all part of the preparation for trials, which all three ladies plan to run the double, possibly. And then you have the Sharika Jackson, of course, the disappointment. We all remember what happened at the Olympics last year. So the ladies all have, Elaine has never won a 1 or 200 meter world title. So there's this hunger and I guess this passion, this desire to be a world champion, but they all want to be part of that history, Jamaica history, that we are all looking forward to. And we all anticipate that something will happen. So, I spoke to all three ladies on Saturday, each of them in different parts of their preparation for the national trials and for Oregon. And, it's a work in progress. They don't want to peak now. Their plan is to peak for trials and then the world championships. So we're looking forward to that event. It is going to be a fantastic 100 meters. And then Shakara Richardson has also added a little excitement to it. As you know, last year she came last. And I had the privilege of interviewing our ladies because NBC and all those other media houses ignored them. And in one day, I had over almost 1 million views because Jamaicans were just anticipating that 100 meter and that 10:54, and then you ignore our ladies, crazy. But this time, I think the NBCs and CBS interviewed them, and then we had a chance to interview them after. The goal is to try and go after, again, a sweep for Jamaica, which would be so good and exciting. On the other side of the 100 meters, I think when the persons were saying, where are the men? Where are the men? There was
Olive, before you go there, let me just take this opportunity to bring in Clyde.
Go to the boys. Are you go to the men?
Yeah. Well, I had one question about in terms of just the buzz. Have the general fraternity that you would have come up against in Oregon and Eugene, have they heard about Oblique? Just tell me quickly, and then I'm gonna go to Clyde.
Well, everybody heard about Oblique after he ran that 10:86. He's the second fastest time in the world. And initially, Morrison was not looking on any Jamaican man. We didn't have anybody running on the level 10 seconds in in quite a while. So the world stood up, and on the World Athletics list, you have Oblique Civil as the second fastest time, and he's the 7th fastest Jamaican ever. So so we're now looking to see.
They're beginning to take notice. All right, Clyde, just a little bit to come before we go into the other areas that I want to cover. Tell me your views on some of the events that at the Prefontaine. Not hearing you. Are you muted? Check.
Yes, he's muted. He's muted. Unmute. Unmute. Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying for me, a lot went according to plan. It's early this season, and predictably, a lot of top athletes are slowly coming into their game. So in terms of how the form has been working so far, I think Prefontaine went pretty much according to script. So I wasn't surprised at how our top chef ladies did. We didn't take a lot of men, but based on the times that they have done so far, they were pretty much in their zone. So even in fact, even in terms of other countries, because it's a World Championship year, persons are a bit cautious about how they approach their programs. So, for example, the 400 World Champion hasn't started the season as yet. Neither the male or female 400 hurdles champion have started their outdoor season as yet, and it's a little too early to call it. But so for me, Prefontaine played to the form that exists at this time. And one thing though, it tells us that maybe this may be the year when a lot of new names come to the fore. You know, we saw, for example, in the 100 meters, Coleman of USA didn't do as well as persons thought he would have done. Or a new 200 sensation who has smashed UCN records. They put him in 100 meters. Again, he was disappointing for a lot of persons, you know. So, but as I'm saying, it's early days yet, and I think one has to be cautious in terms of making too many predictions based on Prefontaine, because even as we heard about Brianna, she was a little bit loaded, means that she was doing heavy weight work, so she shouldn't have been as fast as she would be when she has, to use the technical term, unloaded. So one has to be careful in how you assess the performances of Prefontaine. But I think it played out to the script that one was expecting.
I'm glad you explained the term loaded, because a lot of persons don't understand what it, or would not have understood it unless they are really into track. And so I'm glad you covered that. You wanted to say,
before you move on, the thing about when you're on location, Clyde mentioned that he hadn't seen the defending champion, but the first person that landed when I landed in Eugene was Mohammed, Delia Mohammed, who is a 400-meter hurdles, was the world record holder. They came to Eugene to train that weekend, even though she wasn't running, and to see her other competitors, how they looked in the event. So several of their teammates was there at Hayward Field at Prefontaine, checking out the competition and checking out the track. So there were several athletes, including Mohammed and the hurdler, there at Prefontaine. So I was very surprised to see her, but she said they're there to check out the track and see the competition.
okay. Yeah. What about the other one? What's her name? The pretty one.
Sydney McNaughton. She just married. I didn't see her this time around. But the 4 hurdles was not a event on the schedule. The 110 hurdles was, which was that lineup in the 110 hurdles was a lineup to see. If you're the world record holder was there, the Olympic champion, the world champion, Daniel Williams, our own Daniel and Queen's alumni was there, and with a 12:32. And the Nigerian, it was a stacked field. And Nia Ali's coming back. It was a fantastic race. The time and the conditions, as Daniel said to me the evening before, hurdles and rain and water don't go together. But they still had a fairly good event with Comanche Quinn winning that event. And, you know, I spoke to them after. Several of these athletes would love to come to Jamaica to run.
I'm sure.
Dana Asher Smith, and I'm going to put out that video shortly, that interview. She said, as you know, our father is Jamaican, she's half Jamaican. And she said, I want to come to Jamaica to run, you know, because Jamaica, they see the Jamaicans out there. And one of the surveys that I did, who's your favorite athlete? Persons really love Shelly-Ann, what she has done for track and field. And it is great that the women are getting the recognition that they have not gone with Usain Bolt always dominating, but the competition in the 100 meters women, and the 100-meter hurdles and the sprint hurdles for men it has lifted the standard of track and field. And I hope people can, we don't appreciate what we have in Jamaica, those athletes that come out every weekend and run. We don't appreciate that these are world champions and stars.
Let me ask you, Danielle Williams, I think she came 5th in her,
yes,
in the hurdles. Did you get a chance to speak to her after the event?
I did. I have to speak to my own. She's one of my babies. Yes.
How did she feel about where she is at now? Because the hurdles is gonna be, and I saw another race today with Megan Tapper. She ran in, I think it was, I'm not sure, just Czechoslovakia or whatever. But she came a bit way back. But what did Danielle Williams say about?
Before the race as I say, I had lunch, dinner with several of them. Before the race, Dana said she was feeling good all week. And then she had a little niggle. I don't like to say too many things, on Wednesday. So she wasn't even sure that she would have been able to run. But she was disappointed with the time because she thinks that she is in better, she ran 12:72. But came 5th, but she beat the world record holder. She beat
Harrison. Interestingly, Kenny Harrison, she came last. She came 7th.
But I'm saying Danielle was feeling, she had some niggles before the event. But if you think about the 110-meter hurdles, you recognize that at this moment, there are 2 youngsters that are way ahead of Danielle and Megan, and there's the 3 youngsters. They said the youngsters shall lead them. The young lady formerly from Veer Technical and Akira Nugent. Those ladies have run 10:42 and 10:45. 5 years ago, that was the national record for Jamaica.
12:40.
Right. So those young ladies, it's going to, the 110 meters hurdles is going to be hot. Persons are going to be crying. But as you know, you have World Championship and you have the Birmingham Commonwealth Games. So persons can get an opportunity to run at either of them this year.
Okay, I want to segue into, because when I'm looking ahead to June and our national trials, there are there are 2 sets of, let me talk about the ladies first. There are 2 sets of ladies. There are those on the college circuit who have been kind of burning up the track. And then there are those who are not in college, who are still, doing their thing. And I'm wondering if we have had this in the past. We have seen where those who have done well on the college circuit, when it comes time to the trials, they're kind of worked out. It's like they're not really ready to compete again at that level. I don't know if it will happen again this year, but I want your thoughts on who are the collegians who are now competing and who we should be looking out to make a mark at our national trials.
Can I say the ladies and Clyde do the men?
Yes, that's okay.
There are many more ladies than men, so
yeah. Yeah, you can't do both, Clyde. Don't worry. Go ahead, Olive.
All right. Well, Kemba Nelson. Everybody stood up after she ran indoors last year, breaking almost the national record in the 60-meter hurdles. Kemba is coming into form. Still hasn't hit the sub 11 as yet. And then I think everybody stood up the last 2 weeks ago when Kivona Davis ran sub 11. It was a little bit, it was as if, wow, people are so happy that she's finally coming through. So those are the 2 main ones. And there's always Grant in the background and you're not hearing much about her. But the college, as you said, their nationals is 2 weeks time. There's divisional conference on the weekend. They'll have conference nationals in 2 weeks time, and then they'll have trials in another 2 weeks after that. As you said, Clyde is the coach. He'll have to tell you how much work those ladies. But in the 400 meters, you have Cherokee Young, who is the only Jamaican to have run under 50 seconds. She's formerly of Hydel, and she has run 49.87. She's the second fastest for it. She's on the list, the World Athletics list. She's the second fastest per 400-meter runner at this time. And then you expect Candice McLeod and Stephanie McPherson. And there's also Stacey Ann Williams, is somebody that is seen to be coming into some sort of form in the 400 meters. So those are the main ones in terms of female that we see that will possibly try and compete. And of course, the hurdlers, the Nugent and young lady from Veer, that is, those ladies are expected.
Her name slips me because I was.
Yeah.
What's her name, Clyde? You remember?
Roswell, yeah, Denisha Roswell, Akira Nugent. Those are the two top performers for the year so far.
Right.
Followed by Brittany Anderson.
And then Brittany Anderson.
Right.
Right. So, Clyde, you want to add anything?
One comment, and I hope I'm right, because one of the problems certainly last year for a lot of us, we thought that Akira Nugent and Akira in the hurdles and Kemba in the sprints worked a lot. So by the time national champs came, because part of coaching is about the skill of having persons peaking more than once.
Yes.
And the problem oftentimes with college athletes that they peak multiple times, and then by the time national champs come, they're sort of spent. And unless the coach has that in mind, it's difficult for them to do their best at that time. I get a sense that this year, based on when I compare Akira's work last year, that their coaches have their national duties in mind, and their load this year is significantly less than their load last year.
Clyde, I noticed that too.
Their progress, it has been more timely this year compared to last year. So I'm hoping that is what the coaches have in mind, and we'll get more out of them this year when nationals come.
Whenever I think about that particular topic,
this year compared to last year, so I'm very optimistic that we'll get higher performances out of them this year as against last year when nationals come around. That's my hope.
I hope so too. I always, when I think about that particular topic, I always remember Andrew Riley. He was really burning up the track in his collegiate final year.
The only person to have won the 100 and the 100-meter hurdles.
Okay. And then when time came for the nationals, he just wasn't himself. So, these things happen.
Also, Cherokee Young too. At first, I thought she was really running too much, but I think again, I get a sense that her coach turned on her schedule a little bit, and she has been running up naturally in the nationals as she has had to, but again, not running on instruction, not pushing herself to the limit in every race as she was doing in the first part of the season. So I'm hoping that again we'll see a good Cherokee when nationals come around.
Okay, before we go to the men, I want to touch on the ladies now who are not in college, but who
one other lady we must not forget is Lamar Distin.
Yes, that's wow.
From there, and then her last year at Hydel is the second ranked high jumper in the world. We have never had any high jumper approaching female high jumper approaching the sort of heights that Lamar has done. She's not 198.
198. Wow.
Second ranked high jump in the world this year, which is really amazing.
Excellent.
We really look forward to her moving on to greater heights. She has gotten the qualifying standard, and we really would love to see her at the World Championships. I don't think we have had any female going in high jump.
Yes.
No. Can I also just throw in that our 400-meter female hurdlers there are quite a few of them coming out this year. So that race will also be something to look at.
Yes.
Most definitely.
You're quite right. We're gonna come to those two as well.
And this, it might even be a changing of the guard. It's, based on how, I mean, if they run according to form, the current form, we probably will have a changing of the guard.
Well,
Yes.
I still hope that Genevieve Russell is still there, came forth at Olympics last year. The hurdlers has gone to another level. Delia Mohammed and Sydney McNaughton has really pushed each other to get it up there. And there's Britton Wilson, who is ran a 53.75 from the US. So that is really, it's Antoinette Knight is the hurdler that I think the young lady was speaking of. And Shannon Salmon, we might see a changing of the guards in terms of those Knights for Heidel again and Salmon from Heidel coming up and being competitive in the 400 hurdles.
Yeah. Anthony actually trains with Delilah Mohammed, and that has helped her significantly, that program, and she really has been running very fast flat 400s as well as 400 hurdles. So
Okay, I wanna go to that category now. Those who are not in college, but not the big three, and that means people like Natalia White,
Christiana
Natasha
Williamson, who is black.
yes, Christiana, right? And
Yeah.
there's one other young lady who I know she was in a car accident a couple of years ago. I haven't seen her reemerge. That's Janelle Smith.
Right.
And I'm wondering if any of you have heard anything that would shed some light on whether, on what her situation is, as well as the other ladies that, I talked about and anyone that I probably omitted. Clyde, you want to go with that first?
Well, I know Janet had gone back in training, but I haven't seen any performance for her recently.
I haven't seen her on the track either.
Natalia changed camp. They were with the MVP international group, but she's now up where Christopher Taylor and those persons are. Natalia White, and she for the first time broke 11 seconds. Spoke to her and she was very happy about it. And I'm hoping that again it's a new day for her. She's in a new camp and seems to be happy where she's and doing very well.
And what about Natasha? I was watching a couple of older videos,
Yes,
and I remember one relay leg when she ran the second against Alison Felix and just, kind of killed her.
Held her own.
So, but I wonder where, I know she's still running, but I'm just wondering, how is she doing?
Well, she's still an MVP, and her season so far has been pretty ordinary. We don't know again if she'll be able to peak in time for national, but she has run in a few meets. But she really hasn't done anything very, very outstanding so far. But we know her talent, and she's
go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
MVP camp, so for at that place, any number can play. So we'll see.
Yes. One of the big question marks that everybody has in their mind is who is gonna be the fourth person. The fourth who will enter the 100, because we'll have 4 entrants in the 100 in the World Championships.
Yeah, also have Burchell, Ramona Burchell, who is back home and doing pretty well. Right. And a question that Pearsons was asking me, why don't we put Liston and Tina Clayton to run in the seniors? And
well, I had a point that I was gonna raise, which is, are there any juniors right now who might enter in the senior trials, even if it's one event? But
I know Tina's coach originally had planned to make her try for the senior team. I haven't spoken to him. I'm not sure what is his current position, but originally part of his plans for this season was to have her make the senior team. So we'll see. I'm not sure. Some of the then emerged that it doesn't seem as important anymore, but I know that was what he had in mind this year for her to make the senior team.
And Brianna Liston has made such an impression you know, again, let me say it that way, especially with that 200 meters. And every time I watch that third leg that she ran, yeah, in the record-breaking character, you know, I just love to watch her. I mean, you know, she reminds me so much of Merlin Natty, but that's just, you know, my personal preference. Well, we're gonna get to the trials in a little bit. No, but we have to talk a little bit about the men. I know obviously we're not doing as well with the men as the ladies, but Oblique has given us a kind of a, you know,
Glimmer of hope.
agree, right? And he certainly is, I think he certainly is going to be a factor. But is there anybody else?
You mean in the 100 meters, you mean?
Yeah. to even warrant.
Go by
I think Yuan ran today.
Right.
I'm not sure what his time was, but he came about second or something.
He stepped up and became the second fastest Jamaican today. He went ahead
10.05.
Ahead of his namesake, Akeem Blake, who was the second fastest. So he's not the second fastest. He did 10.05 today.
Oh yes, yes, that a guy, Akeem Blake. That's yes.
10.08,
right.
You did 10.05 today, so he stepped
okay.
up.
Okay. But you know what? One thing I'm sure about, if even if we don't emerge, whereas I expect Oblique to make the finals, and then we, you know, maybe more than that medal, but I think we look like we can put a good 4x1 team together. You know, I mean, in the past I've been seeing Jamaica's men not being a factor, and it's kind of demoralizing to see where we're coming from. to not be a factor in a 4x1 relay. But I have a feeling this year we at least gotta be in the mix, as long as our button changes are okay. But just one word about relays though. Do you guys think that the women can break the world record this year?
I think so.
There's no doubt that we can. There's no doubt that we can. I mean, it's all about proper execution. We have the leg speed to do it.
Yes.
It's a matter of how efficiently we can get that stick around. And if we can do it efficiently, I'm sure we can get it. We have the leg speed, more than the leg speed, in fact, you know?
All right. So that we don't, let us talk a bit about field events. We have to go to field events because sometimes field events get ignored.
Exactly.
Tajay, how is Tajay doing so far this season? He has only been to, I don't think he has had more than one or maybe two meets. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, local meets. He has been in the local meets, you know. But
right, include that because those are still good performances come out of that as well.
But he still hasn't got. He
hasn't done 8 meters.
He hasn't done 8 feet this year. He's done like 789. Has been his best jump. He's supremely talented, and I'm still hoping, expecting that he's gonna get into his over 8 zone. You know, I don't know if he has had any challenges health-wise. I'm not sure.
At the last J3's meet, he fouled out. He had 3 or 4 no jumps.
Right.
But what I'm happy to see is Wayne Pinnock, who is in college, who has he jumped at 8:05, and you know, delivering 8:06, delivering on that promise. So hopefully the standard, they still haven't reached this qualifying standard as yet because it's lifted. But as you know, Tajay is a defending champion, so he doesn't really have to qualify for the World Championships. Right? But we hope that, you know, we can have at least 3 or 4 persons competing in the long jump, because there already somebody has jumped 8:45 in the long jump. You know, that's, you know, several persons have jumped over 8:20. 10 persons have already jumped over 8 that meter. So, you know, Tajay is going to have to step up his game and he does. He, as you know, he really performs at the level.
I mean, Wayne is 22 in the list. So, I mean, he has a long way to go.
Yes.
You know, but we know that Tajay has the ability, but we're not so sure I guess we hope that he's gonna overcome whatever challenges he's having. Because he tends to fall a lot, unfortunately, as we hear, and you know, so he has those sort of technical challenges that he has to continue overcoming. And but he has the ability, we know, to be a winner, to still be a winner. We know that.
Yeah, and you know, to rise to the occasion, you remember that he qualified as the 12th fastest.
Yes, the 12th.
Qualifier,
Yeah.
and then went on to win the title.
That was,
so, you
that
know,
was lovely.
we expect and hope that will happen. But of course, I love the throws, and you spoke about field events, and you know, Travis Michael got throwing 66 meters and qualifying for the World Championships on his birthday. I mean, people. Yes. Throws are just as exciting as the sprints. It can be just as competitive. And you know, Tajay, we have 3 possible persons. You have Travis, you have Dakos, you have Shad, and you have Kai can tell you. I'm not sure what's happening to Kai, but you know, we have persons that can get to the finals of the discus. We have persons.
Well, 4 people. Not including Chad or Kai, who are over 65 meters this year. So this is the first we've ever had. We have Travis at 66.60, Dakos at 65.98, Mullins at 65.38. Ralph,
yes. The college students at Stoner.
Who's at Jago has done 65.11. So
what's the name of that? What's the name of that person from Jago?
Roger Stoner.
Okay.
He has done 65. So we have 4 persons. First we've ever had that 4 persons over 65 meters. You know, I mean, coach is jumping up. You know.
Are they all from the Robinson group? Are they all?
No.
Stoner went to St. Jago and is now at Clemson. I think the Mullins is at Clemson as well with the you know, Jamaicans there. But you know, the throws, you know, the standard of Jamaican throwing, we have to really be thankful for our coaches. Our throws at this point are competitive.
Coaches, a group of excellent coaches.
And you know, we really need to give them credit for what they have done and to lift the standard. And I'm so happy to see Travis back to where he was. Remember, he was the one that was the first World Junior medalist. And then Dakos, we have had 2 World Junior medalists after that. We had Dakos and Kai. And so these guys we expect. And there's a story behind Dakos, you know, you guys don't know it. For the Olympics last year, it was a challenge for him to get there to compete effectively. But guess what? We want him to get back there as a silver medalist, and we're just hoping that we can have at least 2 or 3 of these guys in the finals for the World Championships.
This guy who threw, in fact, I remember the commentator saying that he looked like Clark Kent. Yeah, that guy who shoot that discus. I can't remember how far it was. It was a mammoth throw. Was he on the radar before? You remember what I'm talking about, Clyde?
Yeah, man, Christian. Yeah, man, he was from Slovenia.
Oh yes.
Yeah, man. He has been one of the top throws for a while.
What about the ladies and the throws? We have
Sade Lawrence. Sade Lawrence, I am in contact with her. She's injured, unfortunately. And we just hope that, you know, she has qualified for the World Championship. She came 6th at the Olympics last year. First time that a woman has qualified, reached the finals of the Olympic Games. And we're just hoping that she can get back into shape because she qualified early season. And, you know, I'm hoping, I'm in contact with her, and I'm hoping that she can get back into shape, that she can be competitive for the World Championships.
And our shot putter?
Came home and is training now with Julian, actually. Shade came back home and is training with Julian. So, and she's very happy with her training situation and everything. So, you know, we expect a lot from her. Daniel Thomas Dodd also throwing well. She's consistently in the top 6. You know, I mean, right now she's 4th in the world right now at 1951, you know, and she's consistently is a consistent finalist and a possible medalist. I mean, the standards, if she can get over 20,
inconsistent. She's not been a little inconsistent last 2 years, but she's there.
Yeah, she's always in the top 6, always there.
And then our triple jumpers, the ladies have been, well, at least one. Kimberly hasn't been doing as well as what's her name again? The one who is Ricketts, right? But I saw her jumping recently, and she may not be where she wants to be yet, but I think she'll be a factor. Would you agree?
Yes. Well, none of the triple jumpers in the world, apart from the outstanding who smashed everything indoors and hasn't started outdoors as yet. Everybody has, the top jump this year is 1458. Shanika is at 1427. So it's still early days yet. And we know Shanika has the ability, and Kimberly is a big event person that I would be surprised if she makes the finals again. But we expect Shanika to be up there with the top jumper, certainly.
Okay. In terms of our strengths, we know that where our strengths are in terms of the women and to a certain extent the men. Do you have any concerns as to who may not be competitive when the time comes? And I really don't. I don't want to. We don't need to go up pick winners at the World Championships yet. We're not. That wasn't where I was going tonight. I just wanted to go ahead as far as our national trials. Are there any? For example, I think I have a little concern about Christopher Taylor, in terms of is this gonna be a year where he will begin to make an impact, even though he has been to a final? He made a final before. But what's the latest with Chris? That anybody has any news?
Clyde will have to go with that one. That Calabar Super 6,
Mm-hmm.
I think the O'Hara, Stevenson, that Calabar group, Clyde, I am just wondering, I'd love to see them transition. It hasn't happened. Christopher Taylor was expected to, so I'm looking for the quarter milers. None of our quarter milers right now, I think, are competing in the. Norman ran 40 on Saturday, looked 44,
43,
60, and looked easy, and he came off. I spoke to him. I mean, that guy, if you're not running 43 seconds, you're not competitive in the 400 meters. And 4 years ago, I thought there was so much hope with Broomfield, Donkeyman, or the Transformer, Nathan, Dimish Gay, and I was just so happy to see that. Clyde, what happened? Where are the men? Where are those quarter milers?
Okay, Donkeyman has changed camp and he's very happy, and he is very optimistic about his performance this year. He actually did his best time this year is 45:53, which he hasn't done in a while, and he's expecting to come to trials and do very well. Our college boy Javon Powell, who was at Edwin and then did his last year at Casey, he's our fastest at 44:87. He did that last weekend. Sean Bailey again is our second fastest. Veronica Campbell's brother, he has done a 45:42, and then Nathan and Javon has done 45:53. Again, they're slowly coming, but they have been improving. As was said, we're really disappointed based on the promise a lot of them had shown, and it's a lot. Persons don't quite understand sometimes when persons go overseas and they get into training camps. Sometimes everything doesn't really go smoothly, and a lot of persons will argue about who should have stayed in Jamaica, but for a variety of reasons, persons make decisions about whether they're going to college, going pro, and so on. And Nathan Broomfield have had a sort of, after having left college, they went into the MVP international group and it just never worked out for them. So they have both changed camp. Nathan is now training with the Bahamian 400 champion. And again, we're hoping that that program will do him very well. Chris is happy where he is, and he is, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I mean, he did his fastest ever 100 meters time recently, 10:0 something. And for a lot of us, we felt like he had lost his turn of speed. So seeing him do that, I was very, very happy to see that. And because he has looked slow in his build-up in his 400s recently. So that again is a good sign. He really hasn't run any competitive 400 as yet, so we don't know. A lot of persons have really been timing their season with the championships in mind. So over the next few weeks, I think we're gonna get a clear idea as to where, for example, our senior quarter milers are. They're going to be running more, and persons really hoping to come to championships to peak. So I still expect that we're going to be competitive in our 4x4 at Eugene. Well, certainly the ladies 4x4 will be competitive, but the men 4x4 I think is going to be competitive as well. And as you mentioned, I think our 4x1 by then is going to come together too, and we will be competitive in the 4x1s as well.
Okay, as we wind down, because we're getting to that point, I want to also open the floor. I don't know if anybody has, I'm gonna ask Desmond, if you can monitor the chat for me, if anybody has posted any questions in the chat, we don't mind looking at that.
Before you move on, Stewart,
yeah.
For the first time in years, I'm not writing his name as it, that Jamaican ran 146. 145.89. Anderson.
Yes.
That was one of my greatest joys. Nebraska Anderson. And I just hope that we have such a group of 800-meter runners from Ferguson and those. I hope somebody takes them and try and get them to that next one. It was so great to see Nebraska run 145.65. And I hope that, the trials for the 800 meters we can produce somebody that we can take in the male. So Natalia has been holding the fort in the female 800, but we hope that we can get some males in the near future going to in the 800 meters.
Let's spend a minute on Natalia.
In the 1500, he also did 346, which again we haven't gotten there in a while. So it shows that he is demonstrating real middle distance pedigree. So he also did 346 as well, which is for us that is very, very good.
Good. Let's spare a moment on Natalia goal and see if she has been fading a lot in the latter part of her races. Does she need to do it? And yet she's a 156 as her personal best. Is there a question? Is it a question of strategy? How do you think she should run the race if she wants to be more competitive?
Okay, 800 is always strategy, and persons have to learn to run to their strengths. When Natalia was doing 156, the point is that they were all running behind Semenya. Right ahead, everybody, all the fast times that they did were in the wake of Semenya's 153, 154, 155. So it was easier for them to run fast because they just ran in her wake. Now they have to strategize their own race. And as if you know, after she came out of the mix, the times all went back to 2 meters. I mean, to 2 seconds. And persons now have now been able to work out their own, their own race. We see Hutchinson is an amazing talent. I mean, she's very, very good. My own take is that Natalia runs best if she runs in front. She doesn't run good running from behind. She
doesn't have the speed to pick it up back after.
Yeah, but she doesn't have the. I spoke to Natoya after that run on Saturday.
Right.
Where she ran 1:49.
1:59.
Sorry, 1:59:39. And she said it's the first time she's run that time on a two minutes in ages. And so she was actually happy with her performance. I would like to see Natoya finish a race and get a medal. I thought, you know, she's always, her strategy is to go out and pop. She said the wind, she was taking the hit of the wind on Saturday.
Right.
But, you know, she was happy with her performance last week, but we just need.
I was happy with it too.
That's you mentioned that.
The pop running fast has to be running, not having a big kick at the end, because she doesn't have a big kick at the end. It has to be a fast pace, and she has to be able to be strong enough to finish. If
she's not been strong enough to finish, her last 30 meters has let her down every time. Every race I've been out there cheering her on, hoping that she get over that last 30 meters. But that's not happening. I mean.
So.
Well, we'll have to see. Maybe there needs to be something different that she needs to do in training.
I think it's more matter of our program, which might have to be adjusted. Because remember, Natalia used to go as high as 3,000 meters, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
3,000, you know, so she has had, but you know, and then she's also within the 400, so she has speed, but you know, it really, it's a hard race. And the competition is rough right now, so you know.
Rough and Ming, and I think Moo has not run as yet.
Exactly.
She has COVID. Actually, she has COVID. I think I heard that.
Okay.
And you know, Wilson, who is coming back, had COVID last year. Several of them had COVID. This COVID, you know, and she is just coming back and recovering. But you know, I really would like to see Natoya. She's been up there, medal.
On that podium.
I just wish her all the best.
I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. I'm gonna ask you for a top 3 in a couple of events, and when I say top 3, I mean I'm talking trials. Top 3 at the trials.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask for give me for the ladies in the hurdles, the 100-meter hurdles.
That is going to be one of the hard.
That's why I picked that one. give me a top 3. You don't have to be right. We're not gonna hold it to
Brittany Anderson, Danielle Williams, and Tapper.
All right. Yeah, you don't have to give me an order. So top 3, that's fine. Clyde, how you see it? I know you may not have been thinking about it that far ahead, but
hard to call.
Hard to call.
It's just too ungrateful event. I mean,
Daniel Williams knows that.
Britain has the goods to be at the top.
Yes.
All it is tension, nerves at one point to upset your race. Megan has been a big meat competitor, and yet there have been times that she just, you know, it doesn't come out together.
She didn't look so good today.
Experience to be on top, but I mean, if I was gonna pick, I guess I would pick probably those same 3, Daniel, Brittany, and Megan, based on a mix of experience and talent. I'd go with them.
So you don't think either Akira or Roswell, you don't think any of those 2 could get into it?
They could still, but as I'm saying, coming out of
NCAA,
the NCAA season.
Yeah. Okay, give me a 4th place for the 100 women.
You mean hurdles?
No.
100 women.
I know this is touchy, but what are your thoughts? Wow. I mean, we know who we have. Can the question is, can Brianna hold it?
Brianna is going to hold it.
Okay.
Brianna is going to hold it, and you're going to have Kemba there. Brianna is going to hold it because she has gotten a little bit of edge in terms of experience in running that with the seniors more than the others. But I'm putting Brianna there.
Clyde, you share that view?
It's hard to say. I think I mean, Kevona's confidence is up and she has the ability. So it's just that the toll of the heavy season may play out against her. So
we haven't even mentioned Ashanti Moore. You haven't mentioned Ashanti Moore.
Ashanti hasn't really been, she hasn't been running that well this season. So we don't know. We don't know where she is. So, which is why I haven't really put her in, but she hasn't really been running that well this season.
Okay, top three.
And is somebody I think still has the potential to come through as well, you know? But
yeah, I want to top.
Really, as was mentioned, because of her experience at that level, her composure, the guidance she gets, so you know she'll be hard to beat out of that fourth spot, Brad.
Okay, okay. I want a top three for the men's 110-meter hurdles.
Parchment, McLeod, and Levy.
Okay. Well, Levy hasn't opened this season as yet, you know, so I'm not sure where Levy is. That's the only problem. He would be the automatic one, but we're not sure where he has opened this season as yet. So I don't know.
I'm sorry, McLeod was down to run today, but I didn't see the I don't know if
that
run
that completely. Levy. I don't know if he has overcome that stress fracture he has, because he just hasn't turned up as yet for this season. So if he's out, I guess I'd go with Broad Bell as the third person.
As a third person.
Rashid, yeah.
Okay. All right. We can come back to one or two little points before we wrap, but I see a hand up. Oh yes, Marcel, go ahead with your question.
Hi, yes, a quick one. But back to the hurdles. I've been fascinated. I've always had good hurdlers, but in both the male and the female, over the recent few years, we seem to have a flood more than normal. My question is, do you know if there was, and it must have been, I think, from the school level, one or two things come to my mind. Did we have coaches at the school level or the college level deliberately go for, you know, additional focus training? Because hurdles are technical, and it didn't just come like that. Or was the case of like what the first time I saw it was Danny McFarlane, where the flats were so hot that person switched to the hurdles, and so we end up now having persons really figure they can make it on the flat 100 or flat 400. Switch to the hurdles, and then we have this flood. I mean,
we have hurdlers coming out of our ears,
yeah.
You know, and it really is that it starts at the school level. Even this girl who at Heidel, what's her name? The Heidel. Kerika Hill.
Yeah, my girl, yeah.
I mean, amazing. Yeah. But we have created a tradition, and it's like everybody is hurdling. You know, I don't know. You guys want to comment on that?
Our coaching, Jamaica does not fall behind in terms of coaching. I mean, a lot of credit goes to what has come as a result of GC Foster. You know what I mean? We really, yes. We have made hurdles a hard event, and we have made hurdlers. If you watch the coaches methodically work with these guys with our technique, we have made hurdlers by our excellent hurdle coaching.
Okay, so the two things to hurdles and to champs. Hurdles, when Queens won her champs in 1978. We are still the only school that won all the hurdles at champs, except and came 1-2 and broke the records. So teams tend to move to the hurdles. They can't win the 100 meter. They can teach persons the hurdle. And so the schools use the hurdles as a means of getting points. And of course, we have excellent coaches from GC Fosters. So if you can't sprint or not very fast, they tend to teach you the hurdles, and you can become a great hurdler if you don't have that
speed,
the foot speed. I will tell you, Shelley said on Saturday that if she had to choose another event, she would have run the hurdles because, you know, and she said that, but Mr. Carr said, no, you're not going out there going to know hurdles, right? So I'm saying to you, the hurdles is an event that, you know, it's a beautiful event if you run it well. It's also an ungrateful event because I've seen from Michelle Freeman breaking her leg over the hurdles, but Jamaica has been strong in the hurdles because we have learned to hurdle well. We have good coaches and we have both good speed, and women and men are able to manage the technique, and we always will be competitive. The US are afraid of our men.
Let me take a break. I see another hand up, and we have to wrap shortly. So I'm gonna go to Clovis. Kiwani and Clovis, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Shelly Ann ran 10.67 recently in Kenya.
Yeah.
Can anybody tell me if that time was influenced by altitude or wind speed?
Not wind speed. It was a legal
altitude.
time.
Altitude.
At more altitude.
But there are some tables that sometimes give you a comparison, but I don't know how accurate they are. But she would have been helped by the altitude, but it's still 10.67. And you know what I've been noticing too, even with wind speed, I've been seeing a lot of people doing excellent times against the wind. You know, it's for some reason, I mean, maybe you could assume that they would have done even better if the wind was a positive, but you see them doing even very good times against the wind. Any other questions?
Altitude is not as helpful in the very short sprints though. So, you know, I wouldn't put the altitude too much to her time, you know, not for the very short sprints.
Yeah, I can understand that. Although, would you call long jump a kind of a short sprint? And you remember what happened in Mexico? Would that definitely would have helped? Maybe it wasn't the speed or the air. You follow what I'm saying?
I follow what you're saying. I have no evidence to say that it was the altitude of Mexico that caused that jump, because that jump was surpassed at sea level, I would say.
Okay, we're gonna close, but if there's another hand up now, we'll take it. But is there another hand up? No, I don't see another hand. Well, look, there's a lot more we could talk about, but we have to bring it to a close. And I hope we have covered the areas that people had an interest in, and I'm sure we may have, you know, omitted one or two. I'm glad you reminded me. Well, I'm glad we're reminded of the high jumper, because that's not a name that we has yet soaked into our consciousness. The young lady. So we're looking forward to big things from her. And I just want to say thanks to our panelists. Olive, you've been great. I hope you get home soon.
I hope so too. And guys, I'm starting my own little business of, I have come to World Championships, be in the stands, come and I have packages. Just come out.
Yes, yes. I should have mentioned that one of the things Olive does is she organizes tours to a lot of sporting events overseas, and I don't know if it's mainly track, but I know it includes track. It's not just track. Exactly. So she has so if you're thinking of going to Eugene in July for the meet, Olive is the person to check out in terms of how the tours. And I'm gonna send around a little flyer that she sent me, which we'll circulate that as well. So guys, thank you. Somebody else is gonna do the thank you, but it has been a pleasure, and
thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
We hope we have shed a little light as to what is gonna happen, because I think in some events the Jamaica team is the hardest team to make, you know, in some events, and what's gonna happen in June, I think it's gonna be something very special. So thank you guys.
Come out to trials. If you can't make it please come out to trials. Support our teams. We have some great athletes. Come out to trials. It's June the 23rd to the 26th. Please come and support our athletes.
Let me say one thing about trials. I remember going to trials a couple of years ago, And I didn't sit where we normally sit, where we sit at the finish line. I sat more in like the middle of the stadium. And what I found was that was where you saw the athletes more, because they tended to, when they weren't on the track, that's where they tended to hang out. So you really got to see them close up. And sometimes if you only see them on TV, you're not so sure what they look like. So, you know, come and that's a nice way to at least mingle, because you get a chance to mingle. So thank you, guys. At this point, President Paul, you might want to introduce the person who is gonna do the thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, DP Stewart, and to our panelists. I'm going to call on DP Marcel to do the official vote of thanks for this segment. DP Marcel?
Yes, thank you, President and DP Stewart. You know, this is a real pleasure, signal pleasure for me as a track fan, like I guess everybody in this discussion tonight. At the beginning, it was said that we had two persons, Lady Olive McNaughton and Dr. Clyde Morrison, as supremely qualified to have and lead the discussion. Eminently qualified, I would say. And as we listened and heard all that was said, they proved us right. We could have had two better persons to give the insights that we got. And you know, what was most impressive was the obvious knowledge that was there. You know, I didn't see anybody grabbing for notes or going to Google to get it. It was from the heart. It was like an encyclopedia. And as we spoke about the success that we have had with our athletes, I think two representatives here are just two of the many persons in Jamaica, right, as commentators and analysts. If we were to have a competition, you know, a world championship for analysts and commentators, our Jamaican analysts and commentators would do just as well, would be winners, just like our athletes on the track. And the two persons here tonight demonstrated that. We got a lot of information, a lot of which we didn't know otherwise. And I guess this again because of their love, their obvious love for the sport and the passion. You know, a lot of persons like stuff and talk about it. But when you have that passion, as obviously these two persons, Lady Olive, you demonstrated it a little bit more. But of course, in his own way, Brother Clyde will pick up that passion too, right? But what was so impressive was the knowledge, and that you were willing to share stuff that we didn't know close to the athletes. And also the fact that you recognized and reminded us that two things I was really impressed about. Reminded us that it's not just the track, where we have done so well. We have been doing well on the field, and not just those field events that we have been recently doing well, but that here we are at this little country, right, in all the field events. I mean, the throws, the jumps, I think probably only the javelin. And you both reminded us that, you know, this is the situation and we are to be very proud of it. Another thing that I remember you said that we should remember, you were passionate about inviting us to the trials. I remember one year there was a 100-meter our trials, the 100 meters at our trials was, to me, hotter than the Olympic 100 meters. We had about 6 persons there that could have made it to the finals of the 100. So thanks very much for sharing with us. You gave us some insights, the other side of the athletes that we weren't aware of, and the challenges that they go through because we have been so close to them. So we're able to get a feel, you know, of what it is really like to perform, to represent Jamaica, and how important it is. So on behalf of all of us who were on and heard you tonight, we want to thank you very, very much for the expose, you know, for sharing and bringing us closer to the sport that we love so dearly, track and field. and all events that I participated. Thank you very much. And we have a certificate of appreciation for both of you being displayed now on our screen. And I know we'll find a way to get it to you. You probably have a wall full of awards and certificates already, but find a special place.
I'm not sure if Olive's is showing because I have it up, but I don't see it on my other screen. But we have it. So if it isn't, that's just some little quirk. But we have both.
Again, thank you so much. And we look forward to the trials that are coming. Maybe we will speak again after the trials or after.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you, Olive. President.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, DP Marcel. I'm going to ask for an extension of members of the Kiwanis Club, an extension of 5 minutes so we can complete the remaining 3 items on our agenda. Those in favor?
So move. Aye.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll now move to our Sergeant at Arms, and I'm going to call on Kiwani and Zuri. Sarge?
Thank you, President Paul, and good evening to everyone who is on the platform. Ooh. So I'm going to share with you. Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We're booing you.
Oh, so maybe I should just give a charge for that.
You're learning fast.
So the story, I'm going to share with you a story about a Jamaican pastor.
Make sure you come with a good one.
Huh?
Make sure you come with a good one.
All right, that's a charge. PE Junior, $200. Right? So make sure. So he was doing the story of Lazarus. So he asked the sister to read the scripture, and the sister said, Jesus said, Lazarus, come forth. And he asked her to stop right there. And he went on to tell the Christians, some of them are too jumpy, right? Jesus told Lazarus to come forth, not first, not second, not third, but fourth. So make sure, Christians, that you come forth. All right. So, LGED Desmond. For those 2 deleted messages in the WhatsApp group, arousing curiosity, persons trying to figure out what it was about, a charge of $200. And for Kiwanian Warren McDonald, provider of information, a broadcast charge of $200. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Sarge. I hope our secretary making note of those fines to collect them, or they can send to the club account.
They have been noted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, BLG Willie. Do we have any notices and announcements for this week?
We have a few.
You can go ahead, please.
Will do. President Paul, regarding our notice announcement, just a reminder of our upcoming Kiwanis International Convention in Indianapolis from July 8th to 11th. It's going to be hybrid. There are a few spaces. You have to register now. I believe you may just be able to get on virtually. And then there's the All Island Convention, the Grand Bahia Hotel from July 29th to August 1. There will be a special one-day pass for the convention on Sunday, July the 31st. And just the district convention, the EC&C District Convention, being held in Fredericton, New Brunswick from August 18th to the 20th. Fellow Kiwanians, next week, Monday, the monthly board meeting. Just a notice from the division, 3rd quarter DCM will be held on June 26th. And Kiwanis Club of Kingston annual charity Barbie Friday will be held on Friday, June the 24th. And in terms of inter-clubbing opportunities, we have a number of invitations for tomorrow. We have one from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston, The meeting begins at 6 o'clock. A very interesting meeting, very interesting speaker, Pat Green. And we have Kiwanis Club of West St. Andrew 43rd anniversary tomorrow night at 6:45, as well as the Kiwanis Club of Capital City anniversary meeting is at 7 p.m. And lastly, on Thursday, Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew will be having a membership induction and recognition program at 6:30 p.m. Fellow Kiwanis, I will send out reminders in the morning, and I trust that we get your support and we see if we can attend two or three of these interclub opportunities. Thank you very much, President Paul.
Yes, thank you very much, Secretary DLG Willie. At this time, we'll have our thought for the week. And we're calling DP Stewart to do so.
Okay. Thank you, President Paul. I didn't mute myself, did I?
No, we're hearing it.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. I have two thoughts. The first one, a secret of success is to do the common thing uncommonly well. And that came from John D. Rockefeller.
Interesting.
And the other one I have, I'm just looking for my spot. Hold on. I think I just have to go with the one. I've lost my page for the other one that I was gonna do.
Okay.
Oh yes, I found it. Compromise is the oxygen of democracy. And that's my second quote. Thank you, President Paul.
Yes, thank you very much, DP Stewart. Well, I want to thank everyone here for being with us this evening until the end of our meeting. And it was a very good discussion. I know we can continue and go on for, I mean, with all the points that were raised. But I'm going to ask that we all raise a toast to Kiwanis International and to Jamaica Land We Love. This meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is now terminated at 8:47 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Desmond, can you just stop the recording for me, please? Is it done?